Before the rain ever began, before the cameras and headlines and the moment that would change everything, there was a choice made in a single second. And that choice is why you're here right now. So before this story pulls you in, before it makes you feel, remember, and maybe even believe again, pause for just one heartbeat. If you love stories that restore faith in humanity, tap like, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us till the end. Because what begins in a storm ends in something far brighter. The rain came down hard that night, the kind that soaked through shoes in seconds and turned streets into mirrors of trembling light. The city was loud with horns and rushing water, but inside the small roadside cafe, the world felt tired and quiet. Daniel Carter wiped his hands on his apron and glanced at the clock above the counter. It was nearly midnight. Another double shift finished. Another day survived. Daniel was 36, a single father, and a waiter who had learned how to stretch smiles as thin as his tips. His back ached, his feet burned, and his thoughts were already drifting home to the small apartment where his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, slept curled around a stuffed rabbit missing one eye. Every night, Daniel hurried through the same routine. Count the cash, lock the door, catch the last bus, because every minute away from Lily felt stolen. Outside, the rain slammed against the cafe windows like it was trying to get in. Daniel pulled on his jacket, said a quiet goodnight to the cook, and stepped into the storm. The cold hit him immediately, seeping into his bones. He lowered his head and started walking toward the bus stop, rehearsing tomorrow's worries in his mind. Rent, school shoes, groceries, always the same list. That's when he heard it, a sound almost lost beneath the rain. A sharp breath. A cry that wasn't loud but desperate. Daniel stopped. Across the street, under a flickering streetlight, a young woman stood frozen. Her heels were broken. One snapped clean off. Her hair clung to her face, mascara streaked down her cheeks, and her phone lay dark and useless in her hand. A black car idled nearby, its window cracked open just enough for a man's voice to slither out, low and threatening. "Get in," the voice said. The woman shook her head, stepping back, slipping on the wet pavement. Fear was written all over her posture, real fear. The kind Daniel recognized because he'd felt it himself after Lily's mother died, when the world suddenly felt unsafe and sharp-edged. Daniel didn't think. He didn't weigh the risks, or check his wallet, or consider how little power he had in a city that barely noticed men like him. He crossed the street. "Hey," Daniel said loudly, planting himself between the woman and the car. His heart pounded so hard it felt like it might split his ribs. "Is there a problem here?" The car window slid down a little more. A man with cold eyes looked Daniel up and down, smirked at the worn jacket and tired face. "Mind your business." "It is my business," Daniel said, surprised at how steady his voice sounded. "She's not going anywhere with you." The rain poured harder, drenching them all. For a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. Then the man scoffed, muttered something under his breath, and sped off, tires hissing against the wet road, until the car disappeared into the night. The woman sagged in relief, her knees buckling. Daniel caught her just in time. "It's okay," he said gently. "You're safe." She was shaking, tears mixing with rain. "Thank you," she whispered. "My phone died. I didn't know what to do." Daniel shrugged out of his jacket and draped it over her shoulders. "There's a diner around the corner," he said. "We can wait there until you get sorted." They walked together, the storm slowly easing as if it had done its worst and grown tired. Inside the diner, Daniel bought her a coffee with the last few dollars he had. She wrapped her hands around the cup, slowly regaining color in her face. "My name's Emily," she said after a moment. "I don't know how to repay you." Daniel smiled, tired but kind. "You already did," he said. "Just be careful out there." She studied him, as if trying to memorize his face. "What's your name?" "Daniel." "Thank you, Daniel," she said, meaning it in a way that felt heavy and important. Minutes later, a rideshare arrived. Emily hesitated before leaving, then hugged him tightly. "You saved me," she said simply. Daniel watched her go, then stepped back into the damp night, catching his bus just in time. By the time he reached home, Lily was still asleep. He kissed her forehead and whispered, "Daddy's here." Days passed, then weeks. Life returned to its familiar rhythm of school mornings, late shifts, and quiet dinners. The rainstorm became just another memory Daniel didn't think about much. He never told anyone. Heroes, he believed, were people with money, power, and time, not waiters with overdue bills. One evening, Lily sat cross-legged on the floor, watching television while Daniel folded laundry. The news was on in the background, voices rising and falling like distant waves. "Daddy," Lily said suddenly, "come here." Daniel looked up. "What is it, sweetheart?" She pointed at the screen, eyes wide. A young woman stood at a podium, cameras flashing, reporters calling her name. She looked polished now, confident, dressed in a simple but elegant outfit. Daniel froze. It was Emily. The headline at the bottom of the screen read, "Rising Advocate Speaks Out on Street Safety After Attempted Abduction." Emily began to speak, her voice calm but emotional. She told her story, the rain, the broken heel, the car, and then she said, "I'm here today because a stranger didn't walk away. A man who had nothing to gain and everything to lose stepped in and saved my life." Daniel's hands trembled. "I don't know where he is now," Emily continued, tears in her eyes, "but I hope he knows that his kindness changed everything." Lily turned to Daniel, her face glowing with excitement. "Daddy," she said softly, "that's the lady, the one you helped in the rain." Daniel swallowed hard, his chest tightening. "Yes," he whispered, "that's her." The next day, Daniel went to work like usual. But something felt different, like the air was charged. Around lunchtime, the cafe door opened, and the room seemed to hush. Emily walked in. She scanned the room until her eyes landed on Daniel. Her hand flew to her mouth. "It's you," she said, voice breaking. Daniel stood slowly, unsure what to do. "Hi," he said. She crossed the room and hugged him, not caring who watched. "I've been looking for you," she said. "I told them all about you, but I didn't know your last name. I didn't know where you worked." The manager stood stunned. Customers whispered. Emily stepped back, eyes shining. "Because of you, I started a foundation for street safety," she said. "We've helped hundreds of people, and I want you to know, you didn't just save me that night. You gave me my purpose." Daniel shook his head, overwhelmed. "I just did what anyone should." She smiled gently. Not everyone does. News of the reunion spread quickly. Donations poured into Emily's foundation. Daniel was offered help, real help, a better job, childcare support, opportunities he never thought possible. But the greatest reward came that night, when Daniel tucked Lily into bed. "Daddy," she said sleepily, "are you famous now?" Daniel laughed softly. "No, sweetheart," she yawned. "You're my hero anyway." Daniel kissed her forehead, tears blurring his vision. In that quiet room, he understood something profound. The world didn't change because he was special. It changed because, in one rainy moment, he chose not to look away. And that is the message we leave you with today. You don't need wealth, status, or applause to make a difference. Sometimes, all it takes is one brave step forward in the rain. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs a reminder that kindness still matters. Because somewhere out there, someone is waiting for a stranger to care.